Hi everybody, Josh Birkin, Fishing Addiction Guide Service. Wanted to take a little time today to talk about a successful tactic that has been very good to me over the years, and that's utilizing snap weights. I started utilizing snap weights back in the late 90s when I first started fishing little baity knock. And when I fished with my dad up there, he always utilized lead core. Lead core has been a proven tactic that has been very successful over the years. But at the time of me getting set up, I only had 6 trolling combos. I didn't have the opportunity to spool up lead core in time, I guess, to spool up lead core. So I dabbled with snap weights at the time. And what I found for myself, I looked at the Precision Trolling book, and for those of you that remember the Precision Trolling book, they talked about the 50-50 method. So I could go ahead and take a regular shallow diving husky jerk like this here, and I could get this bait down into the zone of wherever I wanted it to. And at that time, I wanted to get that bait down into that 17 to 20 foot range. What I did to do that was I used an 1 3/4 ounce snap weight. So what I did was I let out 50 feet of line out on my rod and reel combo. So once it reached 50 feet, I went ahead, snapped on my snap weight, and let out an additional 50 feet. And what that did, like I said, is it got me down into that 17 to 18 foot zone, and I caught a ton of fish. My dad was just blown away that I was catching fish on snap weights and not lead core. But ultimately what I was doing was getting the bait down into the zone of where the fish were at. So over the years, I took it a step further. Not only did I start doing it with other crankbaits, and not only shallow diving crankbaits, deep diving crankbaits. Flicker minnow number 9, number 7, deep husky jerks. So many times out on Green Bay, as you get into that summer, midsummer to I guess that early fall period, those fish are going a little bit deeper. And I found these baits, these deep diving baits, aren't always achieving the depths that I need them to. So the Precision Trolling app, actually it came out a few years ago with a 50+ method. And that 50+ method was utilizing a 2-ounce snap weight. So that 2-ounce snap weight, you're utilizing an OR16 clip. That OR16 clip has got the pin in the middle, and that is very critical because you don't want this to come off, whether you're fighting a fish or I guess if it were to touch bottom. And when you're reeling that in, you're just going to unclip that OR16 and you're going to go ahead and fight the fish. So what I found is by utilizing these flicker minnows that accomplish a depth maybe max of about 20 feet on the number 9, or the number 7, which accomplishes roughly about 15-16 feet, that I can get these baits down to where the fish are. Okay, so what the Precision app is showing me is that when I let out 50 feet of line and snap on a 2-ounce snap weight, I can let out an additional amount of line that's going to get me down into the fish zone. So if I'm trying to get down into 22 to 23 feet of water, I'm going to roughly put out about another 15 feet of line. I have found that this tactic is very successful. And it also makes me that much more versatile. I don't have to bring 8 rods out and then go ahead and bring another 8 rods out with lead core spooled up on my reel. I can go ahead and just bring 8 trolling rods for my crankbaits, 8 trolling rods for my crawler harnesses, in my box of weights. Now I've got a box of weights here that are stacked from 1/2 ounce all the way up to 10 ounce for salmon. And I'll touch on that salmon part here in a little bit. But with that, I can basically cover the whole water column of where those fish are at. And that's huge. I talk to so many guys at the ramp, at the boat ramp, that say, you know, today I wasn't able to catch any fish off the reefs. And where that group of boats were on top of the reef, they had slid off because of so much boat pressure. And when I was able to go and take, you know, a number 9 flicker minnow and put a 2 ounce weight on it and get it down a little bit deeper, I was able to get those fish to bite. Those fish had just slid off the reefs and then gone a little bit deeper because of the pressure that was in and around the area. And that is huge, just being able to change one little thing to be able to make your trip successful. And while I'm guiding out in the water, saying I caught them here yesterday just doesn't cut it. I got to be able to make adjustments on the water and make it happen now. If I have 30, 40 rods stacked in my boat, which I don't have the ability to do, and have to pull lead cores, it's just not possible. It's not possible for most of us. Even though the new boats do have some huge rod lockers in them, along with my trolling tackle that I bring, I also bring about 6 to 8 jigging rods that, you know, I'll incorporate into the day to be able to have my customers do some jigging if that's the case too. So I have found that this snap weight presentation has been very, very successful for me. Now it might not be successful for everybody. What I will say though is that Precision Trolling, the app itself has taken out so much of the guesswork that if you follow the app, you are going to be able to present baits right in front of the fish, and basically giving you the opportunity then to fine-tune colors and to fine-tune speed. And the Precision Trolling app does that as well. It gives you the opportunity, it shows you on there where your bait will be running at a particular speed. That is so critical because these baits are not running the same at 1.5 miles per hour versus 2.0 miles an hour. So honestly, hats off to Precision Trolling. They are not a sponsor of mine, but I can tell you it's such a great tool. I know some folks, some of the feedback that I've gotten from them is, well, I'm always fumbling around with my app. What I have found helpful for me is I have taken the information off the Precision Trolling app and I have put it on to a laminated spreadsheet. I have broken it down to my shallow running baits, and then I've broken it down into my deep diving baits. And that way I'm not fumbling through my app all the time. This is readily available. I can go ahead and pull it up at any time. When I switch locations, I want to switch depths of where my baits are running. This spreadsheet right here just saves so much time into getting my lures and my spread set up and in the zone. Another thing where I've incorporated the snap weight presentation is in salmon fishing. In salmon fishing, I started doing this after I dabbled with it with walleyes. It kept rods out of my boat that I didn't necessarily need all the time. So this particular weight right here is a 10 ounce weight, okay? This, I don't have to bring a 2 or 250 copper into my boat. That could just be sitting or getting in the way. That if I'm noticing I'm marking some fish just a little bit deeper, I'm gonna go ahead and take this same setup or 16 clip with a 10 ounce weight, and I'm gonna go ahead then and based off of a spreadsheet that I've developed, put this to the desired depth. So for an example, I'm out fishing in 170 feet of water. I'm noticing that and 70 feet down, I am marking all kinds of fish. Well, unless you have a mag dipsy or your downrigger, that's not always going to work. The water on Lake Michigan is so much clearer than it's ever been that getting your spread out away from the boat is very, very critical. So this spreadsheet here tells me I can go ahead, let out 50 feet of line, snap on my OR16, and then let out an additional 150 feet of line for a total of 200 feet, and that's going to get me into that 70-foot zone. Now, once again, that is approximate. That is not exact. This is a tool that gets me close. There are so many variables that come into play, and I have this spreadsheet at about 2.5 miles an hour. Now, for those of you that fish the Great Lakes, know that there is a ton of current out there. This comes into play on Green Bay, Lake Michigan, Lake Erie, Lake Ontario. Wherever you're fishing, you have current. So, once again, this is a tool that is going to get me close. And if I know that if I can get my bait in a zone of where there's activity and there's fish hitting it, I'm going to go ahead and repeat. So if I let out 50 feet of line, and I let out another 150 feet of line, and I just had a bite there, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. One thing though, while you're salmon fishing that is super, super important is that these offshore planer boards for walleyes are awesome planer boards. These ones have the tattle flags on them, but these are not going to cut it for salmon, especially when you're using a 10-ounce snap weight. So what I have done in offshore now has come out with a mag board. Okay, I've used the Church TX44s. They are great boards too. Once again, offshore is not a sponsor of mine, but I can tell you right now, this board right here is the best board on the market for salmon fishing. No doubt about it. When I put a 10-ounce weight on with a spoon or a flasher fly, this particular board is going to plane out away from the boat. And that is very critical, because if you have a board that's going to sag back into your spread, chances are you're going to get tangled up. When if you get a fish on your dipsy or your downriggers, nobody wants to have a big fish get tangled up in the rest of their spread. So I have found the offshore mag is by far the best board on the product, best planer board on the market in order to get your boards out and away from the boat and still plane out, not sag back. I'm sure anybody that is trying to use these for salmon knows what I'm talking about. These guys, do they work? Yep. I've used them on lead cores back in the day. And if you're using 2 and 3 color lead cores for rainbows, you can definitely get away with these. But if you're using 10-ounce weights, no way. You're going to have a board like this. So I guess overall, what the snap weights have done for me as a fisherman has made me a more versatile fisherman. And anyone who knows if you're more versatile, you're going to be more successful in the end. So if you're not using snap weights now, I'd strongly suggest looking into it. Please, anybody, add comments below, and also hit the subscribe button. I'm going to be putting out more videos throughout the course of the winter, and also be doing some on the water videos just to show some of the action that we got going on here from Green Bay walleyes, Green Bay smallmouth, Lake Michigan salmon. So hope everybody's having a tremendous winter. Everybody's staying healthy. I'm out.